Big Sales National Football Show. We appreciate everybody being here with us. And let me say this to you. Catching up with Marty Callner, who his resume speaks for itself. We are really privileged always when he gets a little bit of time to carve out of his busy day with us here so he can talk a little bit of Hard Knocks, the creator of Hard Knocks. He joins us right now. Marty, thank you so much for coming aboard.
I apologize. I couldn't get Chrome to download on my computer, but I had it on my phone. So I'm talking to you from my phone.
Got
But
you.
it works. It works.
Very cool. Marty, how you been, man? I mean,
well, I'm a lot better. I'm a lot better now that we settled in on a team. I mean, it was crazy.
Marty, to that point, how many times in the years that you've been involved with Hard Knocks have you had pushback from NFL teams? Is this a one of, or do you get this a lot?
This is only the second time we had to require a team to do it, the other being the Oakland Raiders. And they loved it, but this is the second time. There's a rule. The NFL passed a rule, as I'm sure you know, after 2011 when we had problems, that under certain circumstances, they could compel teams to do it. This is the latest that's ever been announced. And I know I was supposed to do your show a while back, but I didn't want to do it because there's nothing I could really talk about. If I would have talked about the Jets and they wouldn't have done it, I would have looked pretty foolish. But as it turns out, we did have pushback, but after the first day, they embraced us. Even the coach came out and wore an I Love Hard Knocks t-shirt, sweatshirt, when all the reports were how much against it he was. But we've done this a lot. We're really good with people. And once he met the crew and met the people, he understood that they were going to be respectful of the Jets' wishes. We can still do a great show and not infringe on their privacy. So I think it's going to work out great. You know, this is obviously the team we wanted to do. There was four possibles. There was Washington, Chicago, New Orleans, and New York. And the New York's, all eyes are on New York this year. They had a very good team last year. They haven't made the playoff since the last time they were on Hard Knocks, which is 2010. And we were getting pushback, not from many people, but the press picked up on the people that were pushing back. If you look at the Aaron Rodgers interview, he was not that negative on Hard Knocks, but that's what they picked up on. Okay. And they do one Jets drives. They're used to all the cameras, but this is national, obviously. And interestingly enough, Dan, with all what's happened, is our ratings are going to be bigger than they've ever had, ever. And this team's terrific.
Let me throw this at you too. I would think that the other team that you may have wanted, Marty, was the Washington Commanders, because ownership, new transition going in there, going from Snyder, maybe that would have been too much behind the scenes and a little bit too much. Maybe the league didn't want to have Josh Harris, the new owner, have to unveil in front of everybody else. So,
no, I agree with you, but let me just answer that question. The Commanders were willing to do it, but the problem is that we couldn't really announce the Commanders until the sale went through. The sale went through on July 20th, which was too late for us. Maybe, hopefully, they'll be the second team this year. I don't know. But I agree. The Commanders are a very interesting story, albeit not the glamour of New York. But I would like to do the Commanders. I think I like doing teams on the up and coming, like Detroit. But the Jets are a good bounce back story. You know, I have a couple players I think that are going to surprise you, like Alan Lazard, who's found new life, and and so is Rodgers for that matter. So, I mean, and, they have that big stud defensive tackle, and they have
Quentin Williams.
Quentin Williams. They have the great receiver, and they have this offensive tackle, Wilson. I mean, I think that they're going to be a very interesting, well-rounded team. And obviously, any team that's on Hard Knocks, I want to win the Super Bowl. because I don't like people saying there's a curse because there's really not.
Yeah, it's not
But
like
there's
the Madden. It's not like the Madden curse here. I'll tell you
no.
something. I'll tell you something else too, Marty. There's somebody else on that team to me that I think that will be interesting to see his lens on how he sees the Aaron Rodgers thing. It has to be Zach Wilson. And
Well,
here's
that's a good
guy,
point.
here's a guy
good,
here that was here last year. He was drafted so high. Now he's down here. Now he's got his idol in the room. He can learn and be a protege to the guy. I would love to see how he sees this whole thing transpiring in front of him.
Absolutely. He's close. Okay. And he just wasn't ready yet. But if you go back and look at Aaron Rodgers' career, the first 3 years he sat behind Brett Favre. So, I mean, and he picked up and he learned, he became amazing. And I wouldn't sleep on Zach Wilson. Okay. I think that he is a tremendous talent. There's a reason they drafted him so early. But, the game speeds up, as you know, when you first get on, everything's so fast. But the more you learn, the more it slows down. So, yes, I think this will be a very pivotal year for him. And I'm sure we're going to concentrate on that. And listen, there's a reason they didn't drop him. There's a reason, but they couldn't pass up of win it now with the possibility of Aaron Rodgers with all the other things they've done with this team. They were actually pretty close last year. They were just
They completely turned it around. Marty, let me ask you, from the first year you did it with Baltimore, from where you are now, have you been surprised that this is one of the longest running series that HBO has had, or are you not surprised?
I'm grateful. I am surprised. When I created it, I thought it might be a 1 year and out. Now it's been, our 18th season, and 21 years of 2001 was our inaugural signing. I have to give a lot of props to the NFL crews, and especially Liv Schreiber, the narrator, which I don't know if he's going to be able to do it or not because of the strike, but he weaves a really fantastic story. And this is listen, when I created this, it was all about the cuts. And that's what Hard Knocks is. Hard Knocks is, even though it sounds like a football term, is really when the Turk used to go to the player's room, knock on the door.
I hate that guy.
They all do, and they all want to run away from him. And he says, it used to be Coach wants to see you bring your playbook. Now it's Coach wants to see you, bring your iPad. But the difference between making and not making it is razor thin, and the consequences are gigantic. Okay, you all of a sudden go from being another guy, the best looking guy in the room. And, and you can now buy your mother a house, or you may be working at the airport. I mean, but it's close. And I have a lot of friends in the NFL, and they all tell me the same thing. The difference is mental. All right. Everybody's as big. Everybody's as fast. The physical skills are extremely close, but it's mental. So my surprise, I'm grateful, but I understand why, and I understand why. Well, there's a lot of copycats out there now, and there's a lot of different people trying to do it. We're still the gold standard, and I think we will continue to be so. And I've been approached by other sports that created for them, like the NBA and ML baseball, and even tennis. And I say, no, you can't recreate this, because in 6 weeks it's 73 guys fighting for 51 jobs, and it's listen, they were all stars in Pee Wee football and college and high school, and all of a sudden they're on a stage where everybody's as big and fast as they are. So, and you only get 5 weeks to prove yourself. What's the veteran going to do to keep his job? What's the rookie going to do to take his job? It's amazing drama built in. And really, it was I didn't realize it at the time, but it's really one of the early reality shows, except it's true reality. It's not scripted reality. And the NFL couldn't be a better backdrop than the NFL. So I'm grateful. I hope it stays forever. And, I don't mind what happened this year, as long as it ended up that way. But I will be honest with you, I had a lot of sleepless nights.
Well, Marty, let me. You mentioned the strike, and I was talking to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, the other day about this, and a lot of people are a little bit concerned about all this. How much does that create any kind of hurdles for you to have to go through as
Of
you're doing
course it
Hard Knocks?
does. Of course it does, especially if Liv can't do it. Of course it creates hurdles, not just in Hard Knocks, but all the other stuff I do. But I have to say, and I'll say it publicly, the actors are 100% right. Okay, they cannot allow artificial intelligence to be able to put them in a scene and then copy that scene and record it and use their likeness in eternity. Can't be done. I mean, it's they're right. It's going to be painful, but there's no choice. I mean, of course I hate it. I don't want it to happen.
But
I don't want to
Marty,
see
what
these
I don't
guys
get about
screwed
that
either.
whole thing is, so I mean, I could make a motion picture with Marlon Brando in it, and I don't have to pay Marlon Brando's family for his likeness.
Well, the way it is right now, right? Yeah, that's right. Or you could be an extra in a scene, and they could use your likeness and your name and your face in other movies without paying you. Okay, so now that means all those. The strike dance is going to affect about 1 million people. All right,
Wow.
it's not just the actors. It's the transportation. It's the craft services. It's the lighting. It's the sound. It's the gaffers. It's the DPs. It's the directors. There's a lot of people. Hollywood, LA is built on Hollywood. All right, that's the main industry that we have, and it's going to cost billions and billions of dollars, and it's painful for these guys to go out, but if they don't, and they have to succumb, and I just hope they can withstand the time when their rents are due and their mortgages are due, but they will be, I can't curse, but they will be screwed forever.
Jeez, I didn't realize that your likeness could be used like that. I mean,
well,
hey,
that's what they're proposing.
2 last questions for you here. Building a music video back in the day for MTV, or having a docuseries like Hard Knocks, what has been the more challenging thing for you? Dealing with the athletes, or dealing with the actors, or dealing with musicians?
They're both different. Okay. And they both have their own set of challenges. With Hard Knocks, I'm able to step back because the NFL Films does all the production. With music videos, I was there from start to finish. I wrote them, I directed them, I produced them, I director of photography them. I love my music video days. Okay. There's nothing more fun than creating from a blank piece of paper and coming up with a hit. As far as athletes are concerned, I love them as much. I can't really announce it, but I'm developing a show about athletes, and which I think is going to be very popular. But they're different, but they're both great. It's funny. All athletes want to be singers, and all singers want to be athletes. So we're going to take advantage of that a little bit. But
for whatever reason, I thought I was going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it never just really panned out. And Arnold told us one day, he goes, "I thought I was going to be a football guy one day." And it's funny because you go back and forth with that,
and they love that. I mean, look at Steph Curry right now on the golf tour. He's on the golfing. I mean, he's close, But I also have a show I developed on Netflix called The Hall, which is the Stand-Up Comedy Hall of Fame. And what we do in my company is, yes, we do production, directing, and produce and write, but we also create shows. And thank God I've got several of them on the air. I pinch myself every day, but I feel very fortunate and lucky. And I love talking to you.
Oh my God, I think you're one of the most talented people that we've ever had on our program, and I mean that. And all the things you've done. I mean, I could not leave without saying this to you. I'm going to throw a name out, and unfortunately today, America and the world lost Tony Bennett. Did you ever work with him?
I worked with him once. It was so sad, even though he was 96 years old, because the last 5 or 6 years he's had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
But I have to give it up to Lady Gaga for bringing him out for that last concert. He was an icon. He was one of a kind. He had a challenging life. He had his ups and downs, but he was still only one Tony Bennett. And in fact, I don't know how much your audience remembers Frank Sinatra,
Sure.
but Sinatra thought he was the best singer of all time. So, I mean, you know, he had that smooth, suave, you know, devil may care. Yeah, I'll miss him. I was really sad today even though I knew it was coming, it made me sad. You know, listen,
Marty, there's not anybody you haven't worked with. That's
no, I worked a lot with Tina too, and we lost her this year. And we lost Whitney, who I worked a lot with, and we lost Robin Williams, who I worked a lot with. You know, it's sort of like I go through my phone and I don't erase any of their names.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't want to forget them. You know.
No, my great football friends that pass on. I do the same thing you do, Marty. Like a friend of mine will pass away, Jim Brown, and I won't erase the phone number or a cell phone. Right. I don't know why I keep it in there. I've got numbers in there.
I'll tell you why, because you don't want to forget them. And, you know, life goes on, unfortunately, or fortunately. And
I still have our girl from Whitesnake in my phone.
Oh, you have no idea how much that hurt me. She was one of my best friends. And, you know, I keep close with some people like her and Alicia Silverstone. I was supposed to work with Tawny the week after she died. I might have told you that already, but I was supposed to work with her the week after she passed away. We were in touch constantly. She made Whitesnake pure and simple. Those videos, pure and simple. And when I cast her, I didn't know she was an actress. I just saw she had that sassy kind of personality. You know, I like to make them sexy and sensual without being sexual.
Right.
You know, and that she was perfect for that, you know.
Absolutely. Marty, thank you for taking time with us today on this Friday here. And
my pleasure.
Coming on with us, man. Great success to you.
Continued success to you.
This year and your other projects, and it's an honor to be a friend of yours. Thank you so much, my friend.
I'll see you next year.
You got it. Marty Callner, the great director. We really appreciate him coming aboard with us. Hard Knocks is going to be great. He always does a super job with that, and so does HBO. I want to thank everybody. Thank you guys for coming aboard. Xander, Big Joe, we thank you. Tone, another spectacular week. I'll tell you what, we touched a nerve with him today. He's like this. Hey, Sills, I like the guy, but, you don't get nobody wears silver rings. You know what I mean, man? Do you wear a silver ring? No, I don't wear second place rings. I done. He probably hated that ring then from Merrill. Now that I know, he probably hated that Merrill ring, that NFC title ring that Merrill showed me. He probably like, Sills, that thing, that probably made you throw up, didn't it? That was Sterling. Yeah, with a zirconian in it, right? Tone, have a great weekend. We will see you Monday going 3 to 6. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you on the flip side.